Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about some new 5-star predictions for 2025. I know I have not completed, I think, any of the books on my 2024 list that I made back in June, but I really wanted to give this list a bit of a refresh for the new year and hopefully use it as a way to motivate myself to pick up some of these. I've really prioritized talking about some sequels in this list because that's one of my big goals for the year, but I also tried to mix it up with a few things that I think could be wild cards, but I think all of these have a good chance of being 5 stars, and I'm really looking forward to all of them. The first thing on this list is here entirely on the recommendation of my best friend. She's read it recently. This is actually a reread for her recently, and she loved it and has been raving about it, and this is also going to be my first read of the year. I've just started this. It's January 1st. I am kicking the year off with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norl by Susanna Clarke. This is a giant book, and this is why I've been putting it off, but my best friend loves this, and she talked about how she feels like she got so much more out of it as an adult than she did when she read it originally when we were in, like, kind of high school, middle school age, and I'm really intrigued because she said it's full of things that I specifically will like, including it's got some, like, Jane Austen-esque writing, there's magic, there's history, there's snarky dialogue, and there's also, like, some other themes that she said I would like. She didn't specify which ones, but I'm really excited to dig into this and hopefully give it 5 stars. I have just started it, like, in the last half hour. I'm literally 5 pages in, but I can already tell that she's right about the writing. Like, it does have this kind of historical writing to it. It feels like it is emulating, like, a Charles Dickens kind of era writing, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. I do really like that on the first page there's a moment where it says, it basically drags the magicians in the book. So this is a book about magicians in England in the 1800s, kind of early 1800s, and there's a line that says, let me get to it. They were gentlemen magicians, which is to say they had never harmed anyone by magic, nor done anyone the slightest good. Which, I don't know, that just really stuck out to me as funny, and I immediately am charmed by it, so I'm really looking forward to digging in further, and I'm really hoping this one's gonna be 5 stars, especially because my friend has hyped it up a lot. The next several of these are all sequels. These are ones that I'm trying to prioritize in the new year because I want to finish more series, and this is also the only carryover from my previous list. So we have Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. I loved the Blade itself. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars just because there's one of the POV characters that gets introduced a little bit late, and I feel like we follow a lot less of her story than the other characters, and I just wanted to see more of her in there and see more of the setup for her involvement in the plot that supposedly comes in book 2. But that said, I still had a great time. I love the characters. I love Joe Abercrombie's writing. This man can write. He can put together a fantastic sentence, and I am super excited to dive back into this world. I've been meaning to get to this one for ages. I've been kind of scared because Joe Abercrombie is not afraid to make his characters hurt. So I've been kind of, like, putting this one off as well, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be 5 stars for me, just because I love the Blade itself so much, and I've only ever heard that it gets better from there. So fingers crossed it's a 5 star, because I love this series already. Similarly, I gave the first book in the Devoured Worlds trilogy 4.5 stars, and I'm thinking The Fractured Dark could be a 5 star. I'm really interested to see where this is going to go with the story for this series, because I think the first book leaves off at a really interesting place, particularly in the relationship between the 2 main characters, Tarquin and Nyra, and I really want to see where that's gonna go. I want to see how the politics are gonna play out, and there's actually a really scary antagonist in here that I'm excited to see how that storyline, like what that antagonist is going to do, how all of that is going to play out, because it was really stressful in the first book, and I think it's only going to get more stressful from here on out. Another sequel, we have Grave Importance by Vivian Shaw. I gave the previous book in this series 5 stars just for sheer enjoyment. I think the series is flawed, but I don't care because I love them. I love the characters in this series. I love the world. I like the way that the magic and the monsters work. This is a series following a woman who is a doctor for monsters and the undead, and the various misadventures she gets into with all of her friends who are, like, vampires and demons and werewolves and museum curators. And it's really fun. It's really quirky. It's a wonderful blend of horror and comedy, and I'm really interested to see where this 3rd book is going to go, and we're also getting the 4th book in the series later this year, so I want to be, like, kind of caught up for that, so I'm hopeful that putting this on this predictions list is going to help me get to it ahead of that sequel, or that conclusion book coming out. The final sequel I want to talk about is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. I have an arc for this one. It comes out, I think, in April. I'm so excited. I loved The Tainted Cup. I think I gave it 4 stars just because there were a few pieces that felt just a tad bit underdeveloped. But it's a super interesting fantasy world where there are these creatures called leviathans that like once a year walk up on land and start like crushing human settlements, and the people that have settled in this particular empire have all of these walls and all of these magic weapons that they've made as defenses against the leviathans. They also tend to mine the leviathans' bodies for elements that they use to create mutations in people. So all of these people that have received these mutations who work for like the government and such have different kinds of powers that they use in different ways. It's just such an interesting world, and I really love our 2 main characters. We have kind of a Holmes and Watson kind of duo with Anna Delabra and Dinios Cole. Dinios is the POV character, and he's just a lot of fun to follow. He's really interesting. He has this kind of self-consciousness about him. He doubts himself a lot, but he's really competent and really smart, and I really enjoy following him, and I really like the rapport between him and Anna, and it's just a really fun series so far. I'm really excited for book 2, and I'm hoping to get to this arc well before it comes out, because I want to be able to review it for you guys before that book comes out, and hopefully talk more people into reading it, because I need more people to read it so I have more people to talk to about the series. That was the last of the sequels, but the next one I want to talk about is also an arc for The Bewitching by Sylvia Morena Garcia. I just got pre-approved for an arc for this the other day. I'm so freaking excited. Sylvia Morena Garcia is one of my all-time favorite writers. She's one of my faves. I've read several of her books now. I think I've given all of them between 4 and 5 stars. So I feel like it's a pretty safe bet that anything by her is going to be 4 or 5 stars. And I think this one could be 5 stars because it has so many elements I'm really excited about. Sorry for my WhatsApp going off in the background. This one is following 3 generations of women who have some sort of encounter with a threatening presence. And it sounds like the kind of main present timeline is set in 1990s Massachusetts, following this young woman who is pursuing a master's degree, and she is studying horror literature and then starts to uncover this like dark presence that's been haunting her and haunting other women in her family for generations, and seems to like tie in with her grandmother's stories from when she was a child. It sounds super creepy. It's a little bit gothic, a little bit dark academia, and I just think it sounds so good. I'm so excited for this one, and I'm really excited to see how she's going to do this kind of dark academia element, especially having been an English student. I love that element in books, so I'm really interested to see how that's going to get tied into everything else. Another book from another fave, I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones, was his 2024 release, and I did not get to this one yet. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, even from people who really like his work, but I always really enjoy his writing, and I think that this sounds like it's going to be an expansion on an idea that he had in one of his novellas. So if you haven't read Night of the Mannequins, there's kind of a similar plot. You're following someone who becomes a slasher, and it's looking at that character's kind of mindset during those events. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do with that in a longer format, because I really liked Night of the Mannequins, but I really wanted it to be longer. I wanted more time with those characters. I wanted to see more about that character's kind of descent into madness, and I just was really intrigued by the concept. So I really think that this one's going to work for me. I think that I'm going to enjoy getting that kind of expanded view at a slasher from the slasher's point of view. I've also heard the formatting is kind of weird and interesting, and I do love a book with some weird and interesting formatting. So I'm really intrigued to dive into this one, and as I said, he's another favorite author. I've read several of Stephen Graham Jones' books and thoroughly enjoyed all of them. So again, this is another one that feels like a safe bet for 5 stars. The last 2 books on this list are a little bit more like wild cards for me. These are from authors I haven't read from before, and I'm basing my 5-star prediction on pretty slim evidence. But up next is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. I am basing this prediction entirely on the fact that I have seen so many people rave about the Sword of Kaigen, which I'm a little bit less interested in premise-wise than this one. This one has a kind of academic-y feel to it. We're following a woman who's the first female mage in this like government ministry, and she gets paired up with a new sidekick who's like a janitor, but he turns out to be from outside of this protected city that they live in, and they start to like unravel a conspiracy together. I love that premise. I'm really intrigued to see how M.L. Wong is going to approach that and what kinds of themes they're going to use in this story. And I also read the first chapter of this, just the like little prologue chapter, and I cried reading the first chapter. So that for me really bodes well for the rest of this book and its ability to impact me and get me to think about its themes. I'm just so excited to get to this one, and again, having heard so many good things about ML Wong, I have really, really high hopes for this. And our final wildcard pick is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I, for some reason, always forget his name. This one I'm putting on here because I've heard that it is super weird, and I know there's a lot of sections where you have to like read stuff that's backwards, and there's footnotes, and there's kind of multiple layers of storytelling. There's sections where you have to like go actually look stuff up. There's pieces of the book that refer back to other pieces of the book, and it sounds very like puzzle boxy. And I love that. I love a good puzzle. I like things with a weird formatting and that are doing something a little bit different and experimental. So I really have high hopes for this as well. I know this is one that has a lot of mixed reviews. People tend to either love it or hate it, but I think that its chances are in my favor because I really do like those kind of puzzle boxy elements. I like when a book lays something out that it gives me the clues to solve myself, and I enjoy kind of, you know, following those breadcrumbs. I'm interested to see how this book is dealing with its kind of unusual format as well, and I don't know, there's just something about this that makes me think I could absolutely love it. I could also end up absolutely hating it, but I wanted to put it on this list because I think it's an interesting pick, and I think it's interesting as like a project, and I'm really excited to give it a try. So these are my 5-star predictions, if you can see all of them, plus a couple of ebooks for 2025, and I'm feeling pretty good about this list. I feel like these have a strong chance of truly being 5 stars, and I'm really hoping that putting this list together is going to be motivating for me. I tried to focus on things that I kind of intend to get to anyway, in the hopes that I might actually be able to keep up with this list. But I think it's a good set of books. I'm really looking forward to reading all of these, and I am already started on this one at the bottom of the stack, so I'm hopeful that we will see some forward momentum in 2025. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Let me know down in the comments below what book you're expecting to give 5 stars in 2025, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.